Live your life within the moment, moment. And don't go wait until the morning, morning. You never know when it is over, over. All that I know is we'll get older, older. So let us dance this night away. Our bodies move to the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. We get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air getting thinner. Standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. Live your life within the moment, moment. And don't go wait until the morning, morning. You never know when it is over, over. All that I know is we'll get older, older. So let us dance this night away.
You're watching JJDrones on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Karl Marx. You're watching JJDrones on YouTube.
I'm Karl Marx and I approve this message.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
Live from the Volvo 780 studios in anywhere USA. This is JJ Drones Live. And now, here's JJ Drones.
And it's JJ Drones Live, coming to you from the home studios today. Thank you everybody much for coming in. We've got Robert Mack Media, we've got Gary from Jailbait and Tackle Outdoors, we've got Dave from Gotta Love Thailand, we've got Chris from Shade Tree America, we have got, let's see here, Tim Loftman, hopefully I'm getting that right, Tim. And that's everybody that's in the chat right now. I appreciate all of you for coming in today. And if you would like to have one of your videos featured on my website, you can email me, Jason at JJDrones360.com. And for everything JJ Drones related, go to JJDrones360.com. And if you're going to do some Amazon shopping and you want to help support Reefs Across America, go use one of my links off of my Amazon links, JJDrones360.com/Amazon1. You'll be helping out a worthy cause. And normally during one of our programs, we've got our Blinker Flu of the Week segments. If you would like to email Dan, it's droningveteran@gmail.com, and send him your video that you want to have featured on our Blinker Flu of the Week segment. Email him, like I said, droningveteran@gmail.com. And for Haley's Coasters, if you would like to purchase some coasters from Haley's Coasters, I've got some here that I'm going to display for you. They're $10 each. And I appreciate all of you for being in here today. We've got a special announcement. And thank you, Tim. I'm glad that I got your name right. And Brian, thank you so much for joining the program today. And you're muted still, sir.
Well, I think that's your fault. You started the music.
Oh, okay. So we've got Brian from Cheesehead Media. So everybody, welcome Cheesehead Media to the program. Because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be having this special program tonight. And normally I have a video that I premiere every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And tonight I don't have any material, honestly. So that's why I decided to do a live, and then Brian sent me a text message a little bit earlier this afternoon, and he said the FAA has come out with its unofficial announcement that's going to be released tomorrow. Is that correct, Brian?
That is correct. It's supposed to be, well, the 15th is what I read.
Oh, okay.
So-
So the 15th, and today is the 13th. So that would be Friday.
Correct.
Let's see here. Dan is coming in. He said he's driving, so he can't chat much, but thank you so much for coming in, Dan. I know that you're going to be interested in this piece of information as well. And Mom, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate you being here. We're going to be talking about the FAA's decision on what they're going to do with remote ID. And that is something that we've actually had to talk about. And give me 1 second. Brian, you want to take that for a second? And then...
Sure.
Okay.
So I was watching, just having my YouTube stream up during the day while I work. Kind of keeps me entertained. And one of the other drone channels that I follow popped up, said breaking news: FAA has announced that remote ID will be paused. And I watched it a little bit, and they do have a link to the FAA's website. And what it is that it's not like a year ago when they decided to say, hey, we're just stopping for months. The go live date for remote ID is still going to be the 15th. But this release that's going to be published states that they are doing zero enforcement. And the reason why they're doing no enforcement is because they admit that they are behind in these areas that you don't need remote ID. I can't think of the name of them off the top of my head because they don't concern me. And then they also mentioned that the supply and cost of the remote ID modules is also a big delay.
So I've got the form right here.
Awesome.
And, sorry about that. My mom actually stopped by, so I just wanted to say hi to her.
Hi, Mom.
So basically, what it says, Brian, I apologize if I go back over what you've already said.
No worries.
But basically, everybody that was on YouTube was saying, okay, the FAA has come out, and they're going to go and they're going to do a full stop on the entire remote ID thing, right? That's what everybody has been saying over the past few weeks. And I actually read through this material that Brian has sent me, and the part of it that really bothers me, and this is the part that should bother everybody, is that the FAA recognized that it has yet to evaluate a majority of submitted applications for FAA recognized identification areas. We already knew that was going to happen. The FAA also recognizes that unanticipated issues that operators are facing related to the availability of remote identification broadcast modules. Now, we actually went into this, and I think we're probably one of the most in-depth as far as going into the remote ID and their costs and how much. And thank you, Dan, the droning veteran, for giving us this information. But this was just a couple weeks ago. The drone tag beacon being $218.90. This one being $328.90. These are both on back order. This one being $39. That one's on back order. And this one for $59, also on back order. Now, I went ahead and I went back to the two main ones, because the main ones are the ones that people are going to be looking at to try to buy. So that one is still $218.90. Expected delivery is October 23rd. And then we have this one is still $328.90. And that one's expected delivery now, because it's on back order, is November 3rd, 2023. Okay. So we've gone through this only because we wanted to just clarify the problems, and the FAA realizes that. Now, Brian, what was the idea of the FAA as far as broadcast modules and how much they were supposed to cost when this was first put out there as an idea?
That was supposed to be around $50 for a broadcast module.
That's correct. They were supposed to be around $50, and because of the scarcity of these broadcast modules, they can't charge $50, and I honestly don't think they ever will charge $50. Hey, Native Wildman, thank you so much for coming in. Apologize for the cold. It's kind of hampering how I talk, but I'm doing the best that I can. So if you go down into the paragraphs here, it says, while some operators, such as those who are using standard remote identification unmanned aircraft or those operating in FRIAs that have already been approved by the FAA, will be able to comply with the rule, the cumulative effect of the current state of the compliance issues reported to the FAA could otherwise cause a cessation of numerous UAS operations, which is not consistent with the FAA's intent. Now, the one thing that a lot of people were saying when the remote ID actually started going into effect is this was the FAA's way to circumvent the hobby and get people to just quit flying drones. In this paragraph, they're saying, that wasn't our intent, which I guess that all just depends on how you look at it. But accordingly, the FAA will exercise its discretion in determining how to handle apparent non-compliance. So let's stop right there, Brian, where it says the FAA will exercise its discretion. So whether or not they're going to give you a fine, right? That's what they're saying.
Yeah, they're saying that if they really want to come after you, they still have the ability to. So it's not 100% that they're not going to be coming after pilots, but the way I read it and the interpretation I've gotten through several other websites is that unless you blatantly do something, and give the FAA the big middle finger saying I'm not going to do anything that you tell me, they're not going to really push us. I mean, it's like the seatbelt law. Technically, can you get pulled over and given a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt? Yes. Does that really only happen? No, I mean, it's an add-on to the speeding charge that you're getting, or turning without a blinker. So I'm looking. I don't see it as a primary reason for them to come after any pilots.
Okay, so let's do a sake of example. Okay, so Brian lives down there in southern Wisconsin, and Brian lives near a FRIA zone, and he has drones that do not have remote ID. So instead of going to the FRIA zone that the FAA has set up down there, because there's 3 of them down around his location, he's going to go out there and he's going to, in protest, go out there and fly his non-compliant drones over by the airport. Okay. So, number one, he's already in trouble because he's flying next to the airport. You can't do that. But number 2, he's doing the wrong thing when he could go to the FRIA area where he could fly with his drones that don't have the modules on them. Okay. Now, he's probably going to get the books thrown at him. Wouldn't that be correct, Brian?
Oh, yeah. I would expect nothing less.
Now let's take, for me, for example, I live all the way up here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We've already shown and determined that there are no FRIA zones in my area. And because there are no FRIA zones in my area, if I want to go and purchase myself a remote ID dongle, what's the likelihood that I'm going to get one by Sunday or Saturday, Brian?
I would say absolutely 0.
Right. So I go ahead and I go out there and I start flying my drone, but I'm not doing it in protest. I'm doing it because I have no other option. I'm either going to fly my drone without the compliance, or I'm just going to not fly my drone at all. But because I enjoy the hobby, because I like, sharing pictures and videos and doing all these things, plus I'm a Part 107 pilot, so I can do it for commercial purposes. That could be taking away from my job if that were my job. And there's actually, if you go a little bit further up into the paper here that was put out by the FAA, there are, let's see here, the Commercial Drone Alliance, the Association of Uncrewed Vehicles or Uncrewed Vehicle Systems International, multiple public safety agencies such as the Nebraska Department of Transportation and the Iowa Department of Transportation, as well as FAA lead participants in the Beyond program, have all indicated that they're not able to comply with the remote ID. So there is so many organizations that are not able to comply with the FAA, and I wouldn't be able to comply with the FAA where I live. Now, if I'm in a major city or something where there's FRIA areas and I'm flying a drone that is non-remote ID compliant, that's a completely different scenario. I'd just be doing that just virtue of the fact that I'm trying to be a jerk. And therefore the FAA will probably slap me with a fine. But the biggest thing is, if you have the capability of following the rule, follow the rule. The biggest, I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing, isn't it, Brian?
I think so. And, I don't even know if it's going to be hey, there's a free zone within an hour of you. I think it's going to lean more towards that example you said of, hey, I decide I'm going to fly over the north-south runway there at Mitchell and interrupt air traffic. That's what's going to put you on the FAA's map. If I'm just flying like I normally do along some train tracks, well south of Mitchell, nothing's going to happen to me if I'm flying with my original Mavic Pro. I mean, I have 2 other drones that I can fly, so I'm not really worried about that per se. But if I decide to take that Mavic up, I don't think I'm going to be I would have to do something to draw attention to myself. Right.
Now, Tim Loffman says has taken me 3 months to get one. Well, Tim, congratulations. It's a lot of hard work to get your Part 107, so congratulations. Unless it's just getting a drone, and sometimes getting a drone can be difficult as well. But the biggest thing is just don't be a jerk. And I wanted to come out here, and I wanted to tell everybody, because the only videos that I've seen thus far on the internet, as far as YouTube videos, has been the FAA is going to suspend it. The FAA is going to suspend it. I don't see this as a suspension as much as it is giving some people a chance to get themselves into compliance a little bit longer, because of the capabilities of getting the remote ID dongles for your drones. So don't take this as a free pass. If you have the ability to comply with remote ID, you're going to be expected to comply with remote ID. Now, I know that there's a whole lot of YouTube channels out there that still fly their drones today without a Part 107 license, and I don't even know if they know what's coming down the pike with remote ID. So I want to put this information out there for them as well, because the last thing that you want to do is get a phone call or a letter from the FAA saying, hey, guess what? You've got about $100,000 in fines, and you've got about 30 days to see us in court and fight these charges. That would kind of suck, wouldn't it, Brian?
Oh, just a wee bit. And you're not going to fight the government and win.
No. Normally, most of the videos that I've seen where people have had interactions with the FAA, they've actually turned out to be rather decent with the people. They give them a chance to explain themselves. It took him 3 months to get a remote ID dongle. Okay, so yeah, that's taken a while, Tim. Really, that is taking a while. And then if you want to put into the chat, how easy or difficult is it to actually connect that remote ID dongle to your drone? Because from all the videos that I've seen from them, it doesn't really take much to connect it, but it does have a limitation as far as how far you can fly it. Has that been your experience, Brian?
With the dongle,
Yes.
I don't have a dongle yet.
No, I'm
for my
saying,
Wonder
have
Woman
you
diesel.
seen any videos where people have actually tried them out and
Oh,
the
yeah. No,
limitations?
I've seen them. The one that I saw, the dongle went about 15 feet, and they could still read it. And after 15 feet away, it no longer was being received on the ground. It was still working. They flew it, down about 100 yards away to the other end of a football field, flew it back, and they were able to start receiving it again. And then they walked down the other end of the football field, and they're receiving down there. But that dongle was only working for about 15 feet. So, I mean, are they? I would say then that they're 100% compliant. It's not their fault that the dongle does not transmit that far. But
Well, they also did decide to go with Bluetooth versus actual internet access in those devices. So, they could have gone with a 5G or 4G connection or even a 3G connection with those remote ID dongles. But they decided to go with Bluetooth, which is absolute failure on their part as far as I'm concerned. But they also say that you're not supposed to need to have internet access in order to fly. And with the DJI Avata, that is absolutely not true because remote ID is built right into the Avata. And unless you have internet access, you get a remote ID error on the drone. So that's a problem right there in itself. Native Baldman, a dongle is a separate piece of equipment that you have to actually put onto your drone so that if it doesn't have remote ID built into it, it can be remote ID compliant.
You're mentioning the dongle on your or the remote ID in your Avata. No, completely different than that. My little Mini 3 Pro actually turns off the internet access when I put it up in the air.
Really?
So
that's interesting.
So there is a problem with the original. I think it's a issue with the RC1 controller that you're trying to. It's on the same frequency as trying to transmit to and from the drone, and they realize that there's a conflict that's occurring there. So a lot of people are losing contact with their drones in a very short range. So they actually turned off internet access on them.
Tim says they're easy to install, very bad reception. As long as it is broadcasting, you're legal. And yeah, that's a very good point, Tim. And that's the point that Brian brought up is that as long as it is broadcasting, you're legal. Tim, if you want to put down into the chat also what drone you're flying with that, I would appreciate that. But the biggest thing is don't get yourself caught. Just be responsible. Don't try and cause problems. The more courteous you are, most people have always told me you catch more bees with honey, right? So if you ever run into an interaction with somebody that is causing or is coming up and asking you questions, just be nice, be polite, be cordial. Bring your drone back and land it, and then have a conversation with them. If they don't want you to fly your drone there, just pack up and go. It's not going to kill you if you pack up and go and come back at a later time. If it's law enforcement, I know for a fact from talking to state troopers when I did Trooper with a Truck that the troopers are not being educated as far as remote ID goes. The troopers that I spoke with over that time didn't even know what remote ID was, let alone that it was going to be going into effect this week. So, I mean, that's another issue. You know, what is the training in the officers that are out there? What do they know? What do they not know? And that's going to be another thing that's going to happen. So, if you have any interactions with the authorities, be cordial, be nice, try and be as compliant as you possibly can, and just have a conversation with them. Find out what they know. Find out what they don't know. Let them know that you are a Part 107 pilot and that you are educated, because most of the time, the authorities, if they know that you're a Part 107 pilot and that you are certified, they're going to give you deference because they know that you're a trained pilot. Tim says he has it on a Phantom 3 Advance. It's a nice drone, Tim.
I'd like to know which module he's using.
Yeah, let us know also what module you're using out there, and if you want, you can tell us how much you paid for it. If you don't feel like divulging that information, that's all right too. But I'm sure that it's more than the $50 that the FAA expected these modules to be. But that is basically the down low of the FAA's, I guess, extension. I don't even know if you would call it an extension, would you?
It's something. It's going to be published in the Federal Register, so it's, it is going to be binding by some means. I don't know how. I mean, obviously not a lawyer. Never intended to be one.
No, and that's why we're friends, because you're not a jerk.
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, that's my job to be the jerk. I mean, it's my
Oh,
show.
okay. I can go with that.
But it looks like March 16th, 2024 is the date that they're hoping that everything's going to be up to compliance. Now, out of those free zones that they're going to need to be approved yet, it says that they have 1,206 yet to be reviewed. Now, that doesn't mean that that's all that are going to pop up. There may be another 1,000. There may be another 2,000. You just never know.
Native Wildman asked us, so does this affect RC planes? And the answer to that is actually yes, it does.
Yes.
But that's what the FRIAs come into play. Most of the AMA fields, or the AMA is trying to get it so all their fields will become FRIA zones, because they kind of already have that establishment, those rules established with the FAA.
So basically, wherever you decide to fly your plane is usually in a spot where people usually fly their RC planes anyway. And those are usually part of a club or something like that. Now, if you decide to go out into a field somewhere that isn't, you would have to get a remote ID beacon as well. And Tim says that he got the drone beacon DB120 for $158. So, I mean, and like we've been saying, these things do not broadcast for very far. And if you're going to be in a FRIA zone, you're not going to be flying for very far either. You got, what is it, a 400 feet? Well, I know it's a 400-foot clearance, but was it 600 feet circumference around that?
I couldn't tell you. Yeah, it's not something I ever looked into, because the couple of FRIAs that are near me I have zero interest in. One's by a dump. The other, that's real picturesque to take photos of. Let me tell you.
Well, and that's the thing that they don't understand is the whole FRIA zone thing isn't going to appeal to the average drone flyer. The average drone flyer isn't out there flying just because they want to fly. They're flying their drone because they want to take picturesque views. They want to take pictures of that. They want to take videos of picturesque views. They want to fly all over the place. And we're already regulated to different areas where we can and can't fly based on, state regulations or national regulations, what have you. So, I mean, this is definitely, a kick in the butt from the government, but it's something that we're going to have to learn to live with, and hopefully, at some point in time, somebody repeals this nonsense. But until then, you've got until, like I said, March 16th of 2024 to get yourself into compliance. And you never know, maybe they still won't have everything up to snuff by then, but don't count on that, because we've already had one extension with the manufacturer side. Now this is going to be one extension for the pilot side. So I highly doubt that they're going to do another extension after this.
I would agree with that.
If nobody has any questions about that, I just wanted to take a minute, and it is Driver Appreciation Week, Truck Driver Appreciation Week out there. So if anybody that is out there watching today or watching in the repeat and you're a truck driver, I do appreciate the work you do. I appreciate it because I do the work that you do. And it's not an easy job, and it's not even a job. It's a lifestyle. It really is. There's no other job that is like it. You have long hours behind the wheel. You don't get to see your family every day. I guess the closest thing that I could say for a truck driver would be, having a job in the military, where you're gone away from home for months at a time. And there are truck drivers that are gone from their home for months at a time. They go back to home and they're at home for 2 to 3 days, and then they're back on the road again. I've had jobs like that, and they're not fun. So I hope that everybody out there is staying safe, that you don't end up on Blinker Flu of the Week awards, because that's definitely not some place that you want to go. But I really do appreciate everything that you do. And unless you've been under a rock, this is probably my most famous YouTube video that I've ever done. It's a short, so it's not going to take long to show you guys. But I actually ran into a Tesla over there in California. And here's where it was at. And this was actually over there sitting in a dock at Cisco in California. Now, Brian, I want you to take a close look at this truck that's sitting in a dock here. And I want you to tell me what you noticed, first of all, out of anything. I couldn't pass up this opportunity. Found my first Tesla truck in the wild at a dock. Okay. What do you see?
Now, the first thing I see is the blankets or whatever it is that's hanging in front of the windshield.
Yes. Yes, those are blankets. And Tesla, in all of their infinite wisdom and their multi-trillions of dollars or billions of dollars that they have to their disposal, did not find it to be relevant to have curtains to go around the front of the cab of the truck. So when a driver is sitting in a dock and the sun is beating down onto the truck and just making it hotter and hotter and hotter, the air conditioning is not able to keep up with the heat that's coming into the truck. So you have to block the windshield with blankets. And what do you think's happening to the batteries while you're running the air conditioning?
They're recharging, aren't they?
No,
Oh.
they're draining. And I talked to that driver, and any guess how many hours, not minutes, how many hours he was sitting in that dock with those blankets over the front of his windshield?
Oh, if it's like most deliveries, I'd say somewhere around 4 to 6.
No, he was there for a good 3.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. He was there for a good 3.5 hours. So that's 3.5 hours where the truck is just sitting there with the air conditioning running. to pretty much no effect, but you can see the water from the condenser underneath the truck here. That's what that is. But yeah, this is a dock, and it looks like because of how big the windows are, you have to have blankets to leave out the heat. Well, guys, so that guy, he was not too thrilled about having to do that. We're gonna go back to the other video that I have of that truck, because I did have him driving out. Oops, wrong one. Sorry about that. Hang on. I got to pull up the right video. Okay. So we've got that one there. Okay. So now, what I want you to see, and it's still going to be hard, because these trucks around the Frito-Lay truck are all running their trucks, and they're running reefers. It's like 80, 90 degrees outside. But I tried to catch the actual noise from the truck as it passed me. See if you can hear anything. Okay, guys, we got the guy in the Tesla truck. He's getting ready to take off. I want to just try and get him as he's taking off, get you the sound of it. All right, here he comes. First Tesla truck out in the wild. Brian, you hear anything?
No, I don't hear anything at all.
That's because there's nothing to hear. The only thing that is there are the sound of the motors, and that was just it was a little bit disturbing, only because I'm thinking about guys walking around the truck stops, and because of the fact that a lot of these guys, Mario Andretti will show up to the truck stop every single day. And I can just see one of these guys with a Tesla truck, or even the new Nikola trucks, coming through at a high rate of speed, and a driver not seeing him.
You know, that's a problem, not just at the truck stops, but I've run into that just at the grocery store. You know, you don't realize someone is backing up. You know, if the lights are shining on those LED, you know, the reverse LEDs just right. I think there was a proposal by one of the Congress critters that they're going to require electric vehicle manufacturers now to put speakers in their vehicles that make car sounds.
Oh, that would be great.
Well, I think it'd be interesting. You know, here, you know, have someone that, and I'm going to go with a railroad reference, but, you know, if I have like a Elko 251D prime mover, you know, coming out of like a little Prius or something.
That would be hilarious.
But I mean, think of it this way. You can also reverse that. I mean, how many people do you have driving down the street? Now, you don't get maybe as much in the UP, but, you know, here in Milwaukee, someone that decides that they're that everyone and their brother needs to hear their music and their license plate rattling.
Right. Yeah.
I can just see bad things happening.
Yeah, we get that a lot up here. Something said, why are you guys even talking about comply? No one should comply with government surveillance device on yourself. So what if it's short range? It's still surveillance. Something. I appreciate that comment. And I'm not saying that what the FAA is doing is good, and I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm saying that it is what it is. I'm giving the information. And the biggest thing is that we need to give these information to people. Let's see here. But the only reason that we're actually talking about it is only because we want to inform you. We want to inform everybody that's out there. And the biggest thing is that we need to give the information to the people, because if you choose to be compliant, you choose to be compliant. If you don't choose to be compliant, you know, that's up to you. What Brian does is up to him. What I do is up to me. I'm not going to tell anybody what I plan on doing, and I don't expect Brian to. But if you go out there and you say what you're going to do right off the bat, especially on a forum such as this, it's not difficult for the FAA to see who's going out there and saying, I'm just not going to comply with the government because it's surveillance. So I'm not playing that. I'm not playing that game. I'm not going to. I'm not going to say positive about it. I'm not going to say negative about it. I'm not even going to give my opinion on it. I just think that what they need to do is they need to get their stuff straight and before they start releasing regulations that we're all supposed to follow. Hey, Ted, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate you being here. And Karl Marx, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you being here. I did also mention that I am suffering through a cold. Hopefully by the end of the week, when I do my live stream on Sunday, I'll be over it because I'm tired of trying to speak into a microphone with my nasal passages all clogged up. It's not a lot of fun. But because of the fact that I do a video every Wednesday, and I didn't have anything because I have been feeling under the weather, I haven't been able to go out and actually fly the drone or do anything as far as filming. The most that I did today, I went out and I changed the fuel filter on my truck. And as soon as I was done doing that, I was wiped out again. So I'm still trying to recover. And it's going to be a little bit yet, but I'm starting. I woke up feeling better this morning, and I'm taking the advice of some good friends that have some good ways of feeling better. And then I'll be going back to work this weekend, so hopefully I'm better by then, because being in a truck is just like being in a germ cycle. It's just germs all the time. So sorry about that. But yeah, Brian's got the cough button a little bit closer to him than I do. So Brian, do you have any videos coming out this weekend?
Oh, yes, I will have a video coming out this week. And what it is, I have no idea yet because I've yet to edit it.
Well, that's fair. I mean, at least it's honest. Oh, I'll take your advice, Ted. Trust me. I have been taking your advice, and I do appreciate it. In fact, the other thing that I did, because Ted told me, and this isn't sponsored, Ted told me to get the Vicks Vapor Rub, and I've been using that as well. But I also got the Vicks Kleenex, and that stuff is great. It really is. But I do have all my drones here. In fact, I'm charging all of their batteries right now because if you don't fly them for a while, all your batteries die. And so I just did the update for the Mavic 3 Classic. And Brian, do you know the exciting update on the Mavic 3 series?
I saw that you can now use the cameras for sensors as actual visuals. So
yes,
you can see to the sides and to the back.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm gonna actually take that out there. I'm gonna give it a shot and see how they work. But the one thing that I never understood about that, Brian, and I don't know if you did this with any of your earlier drones, but when with the Mavic 3 Classic or with the Mavic 2 Pro, you can actually go onto the desktop version of DJI's software, and you can calibrate the sensors using your computer screen. And what you do is you hook up your drone up to a USB-C cord, and then you go to sensor calibration, and you have to, it puts all these dots up on the screen, And then you take your drone and it'll start off with the front facing sensors, and then it'll do the side facing sensors, the bottom, the top, and then the back. And you can calibrate your sensors that way. And when you're doing that, it actually shows you the picture of the screen. So it was a design that they could have done years ago, and I'm glad that they finally did it.
Well, I'm glad they did it finally to just the Mavic 3 series. It's after the release of the Air 3, it's the Air 3 and your Mavic Classic are they're very close, capability wise, and with the 360-degree sensors and stuff that are on them, there wasn't that step up from the Mavic from the Air anymore, and I think adding those features to this latest update, I think does put the Mavic now in a class by itself.
Jeremy, thank you so much for coming in. I'm still sick, if you can't tell by my voice, but I'm doing better. There's one other thing that I wanted to bring up before we close out the show, and we might as well, finish it out to the full hour. I was kind of expecting only to go a half hour, but I'm actually long-winded today, if you can believe that. No. Hey, Simply Nanette, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate you being here. So Brian, did you get the latest survey that was given out by DJI?
If I have, I haven't seen it. I'm still trying to catch up. I was gone for the past 8 days out of state. Actually doing a lot of filming and a lot of flying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have not had a chance to see any email over that time, unfortunately.
Carl says essential oils and a diffuser on your nightstand will help. Warm some water in a teapot, then pour it in your nose. Okay, I think Carl just told me how to kill myself, but we'll get back to that later. DJI actually sent out a survey, and I took part in the survey, and I don't usually do it, but when I got through the end of the survey, it actually, and Ted from Off the Hook Outdoors, you're going to want to pay attention to this, because it sounds like DJI is making a something similar to what Skydio had with their what the heck do they call it? Their beacon. And they're going to be making it for the FPV drones, and they're going to be making it for the camera drones, or one or the other. Basically, they were asking, would you more likely use it for an FPV drone, or would you rather do it for a camera drone? And I wasn't able to choose. I was like, both. Why would I want to choose between one or the other? I would love to have it on either or. I don't know what the beacon is going to work like as far as obstacle avoidance with the camera drones, because all the camera drones now have some form of obstacle avoidance at DJI. So I'm assuming that the beacon's going to work with the obstacle avoidance, but from what the survey said through it, it didn't sound like the obstacle avoidance was going to work. I don't even know how to even put 2 and 2 together on that one. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens if they put this thing out. But the other thing was having the beacon for the FPV, so that if you have somebody that's actually like riding a bike or riding a motorcycle or driving a car or whatever, you can give them that beacon, and they're going to be able to have the FPV drone fly and film them at that high rate of speed. But you're also going to have to be aware that if they do give you that option with the FPV drones, you're not going to have any obstacle avoidance whatsoever. And Brian, how has that worked out when I've flown without obstacle avoidance?
Oh, about as well as it has for me, badly. Oh, wait, I do have obstacle avoidance, and it still ended badly for me.
Ted says, nice. I don't know if I want to stoop down to a DJI drone. he needs a drone that can keep up with him in the woods, in the water. Now, Ted, I can tell you right now that the Mavic Air 3, or not the Mavic Air 3, but the Mavic 3 Air, right? Is that what it is, Brian?
Air 3.
Okay, the Mavic Air 3 is probably going to be the closest, if not, because it does have the omnidirectional avoidance. I would say the Mini 3 Pro, but it doesn't have omnidirectional sensors. The only difference between the Air 3 and the Mini 3 Pro is basically the size difference, and the Mini 3 Pro would actually work really well because of how small it is. But because it doesn't have that omnidirectional avoidance, you're not going to get the same capabilities of going through the woods like you would with the Air 3S.
I think it's going to depend upon his usage. If it's following him, I think that Air 3 or the Mini 3 Pro would be perfect. It's the only time that the Mini 3 Pro will get you in trouble is if you're trying to fly it sideways. Because it does have the front, back, and up and down is actually very, very good on it. I've intentionally tried to crash mine several times and have not been able to do so.
Well, and Brian and I, we are going to get together at some point so that we can fly together. And one thing that I would like to do, Brian, is if you know a wooded area that we can go to, that we could actually test that out as a me walking into the woods or you walking in the woods and see how it does. And it would have to be, after fall, because I'm trying to get this for the hunters in the audience, like Ted. He's a hunter. He wants to use it while he goes out hunting to show him walking through the woods. Now, it's not necessarily going to be something that he's going to want filming from behind him. There's some of the shots he's going to want to do in front of him. So I want to see how the obstacle avoidance works. Now, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I understand. But, I just want to have that sense of how that works in a situation where you don't necessarily have all those leaves on the trees and everything.
From everything I've said, and this even includes, I don't mind, I'll do it with mine. They're going to crash sometime anyways. But from what I can tell, the smaller sticks will confuse even the Air 3. It'll confuse the Mini 3 Pro. Power lines are even small enough. You need something about, I'm guessing, 3 inches across or more for it to really detect it. And I'm doing that because I have a pine tree in the corner of my lot that, excuse me. I have a pine tree in the corner of my lot that if I'm flying at the top of it, it doesn't realize that it's there. But if I fly about a foot below it from the top, where there's a good little bit of width to the tree, it will go right around it. So Skydio was better at the sticks. I'm then even more disappointed that they went out of business because DJI does not understand what a stick is at all.
Right, and Brian, your audio is kind of going in and out. Ted wanted to inform you of that, but he also says that's good news that Jason will be my test dummy, no pun intended. But it's good news that there may be a DJI for me. And yes, Ted, and we don't know what's coming around the bend yet. We don't know what the Mavic 4 Pro is going to come out looking like. We don't know what the Mavic 4 Mini is going to come out looking like. We don't know if they're going to come out with a Mavic Air 4S. We don't know what's coming down the pike. And the great thing that DJI does is they're always innovating. They're always trying to get out there the best and the safest drones that you can use for your photos, for your videos. And now that Skydio is out of the market, as far as consumer drones go, I think that they're almost forced to go into that space, because there's a need in that space. And if they don't take up that space, I think they're really missing the boat on that, because I really do think that if they don't put out a drone that gives us the same capabilities that a Skydio did, or even close to it, I think that DJI is missing the boat on that. And Brian, I don't know if you can respond to that or not, but
No, am I sounding better?
yes,
Okay. I agree. And this is going to be the downside of that, though, is with Skydio being out of business, that was DJI's main competitor to drive them to be better.
yes,
And now without that around, there is no reason for DJI to push the envelope like they have. So, it's a detriment not only because of the loss of Skydio, but there's no reason. DJI is 2-3 years ahead of everyone. It's going to take someone coming out and doing something wild to really get DJI, I think, pushing forward. I mean, how many times we see this in other things? A great example would be after Microsoft and Internet Explorer got rid of Netscape. I mean, there is nothing. I mean, for years, Internet Explorer was the de facto browser, and it just sucked. And then Firefox and Chrome came along, and they've been playing catch up ever since.
right. And just wanted to say hi to Dave. Thank you so much for coming in, Dave. Appreciate you being here. And Ted says the DJI Off the Hook edition. He wants his in blue. But no, I honestly think that you're right, Brian. I think that if anybody's going to do anything, it's going to be DJI. If they don't and they choose not to go into that space, then it's pretty much going to be, nobody's going to do it. I guess Autel would probably be the closest to doing it, but I highly doubt Autel would do it, because I don't think that they are as far along as DJI is with their research and development. And I don't really think that you get your bang for your buck like you do with DJI. Over to your left a little bit, Brian. There you go.
I was just trying to show everyone it's Air 3, but yes.
Okay.
So there it is.
I was trying to show off your camera.
Oh.
Because you're a big
one?
boss man.
Well, there's a side of it. I mean, that is a huge camera on the front, hanging off the front of this.
That is. That's three.
Yeah.
That's three. Is it 3 or 2 cameras?
It's only 2.
Okay.
It's the same size as on the Mini, just stacked one above the other. In fact, give me a second here. Not that I happen to have drones just laying around every place.
Well, I got mine laying around, but that's because they're charging. Ted says that would be a win-win for DJI to fill that void for sure. And I completely agree, Ted. And hopefully this Sunday we'll get Karl Marx on the program. He's got some things that he wants to get off his chest, so we may have a rant away Sunday again. I love those Sundays. Those are so fun.
So how was the show on Sunday? I've yet to get a chance to watch it.
It was our 9/11 special, and it actually went very, very well. We got a little over 130 views on it right now, so very, very happy with how that turned out.
There's a Mini 3 Pro. Yeah.
No, Ted, that would be... Now, show him the back, though, because that doesn't have any other sensors on it other than your...
It does. Here's the rear sensors. They're in front.
Oh, you have reverse sensors on there.
It does have reverse
side to
sensors.
side.
Yeah, it's just side to side. And these here, I want to say it goes... It's straight up and down. It's 180 degrees. I mean, those are very wide angle sensors on it. And same thing with the back. I've flown it backwards, full speed at me, and it's missed me by feet. So I have 100% faith in the sensors. It truly is the side by side sensors that it is missing. Whereas, and here I'll just put them So you kind of see the size difference here.
Yeah, and I mean don't be frightened because of the cameras, because the camera on the Mini 3 Pro is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, well, that one camera that's the same size sensor as what's on both of these.
Right.
So it's a different sensor, but it's the same size.
Brian, do you know off the top of your head what the Mini 3 Pro is going for right now? I think it's around $800.
It depends upon what kit you get. I think if you get it with the by itself with just the controller that would connect to your phone, I think it is like $750 to $800. It might be it's $100 more if you get the controller with the screen built in, with the RC controller.
Well, I don't even know why I'm guessing. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I would recommend spend the extra money.
Okay. So as of
Get it.
right now, they've got back to school sale, and you can get the Mini 3 Pro immersive flight combo. That gives you the DJI RC, the goggles, the motion controller, all of it for $1,558. But all you really need is like this one right here. This is the DJI RC with the Mini 3 Pro. And then definitely get the Fly More kit for the extra $249. So we're let's see here. Let's just add the micro SD card. And then let's see here.
Wait, hold. Go back, because there's two Fly More kits.
I see that.
There's
the Fly More kit Plus, and that comes with 2 intelligent flight batteries, a 2-way charging hub, shoulder bag, and then more propellers. And then the Fly More kit just comes with 2 intelligent flight batteries.
It's the size of the batteries that's different.
Yep. You got the 47-minute batteries on the Plus, and you only have the 34-minute batteries on the Fly More. So it's basically whatever you want. But let's go.
I'll say from experience, the Plus batteries last about 40 minutes max, and the regular batteries maybe if it pushes 25, that's everything. So the published flight time and real life are two different things.
So you're looking at right around $1,188, Ted. $1,188 plus tax, and that'll give you a full of the drone, the controller, the extra batteries, the extra propellers, the bag to carry it home, everything that you're going to need. And the only other thing that I would suggest is getting DJI Care Refresh. And
yes,
Brian, how much is that for the Mini? Do you know?
I want to say it was $79 for 2 years. It was really cheap.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would get, I never understood it before until I got one. I love now having a lanyard to hang that thing around my neck, especially that controller. That's, I mean, and granted, there's all kinds of different types and sizes, but figure anywhere between another $15 and $20 for that.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't need to pay $15 to $20 for a lanyard. If your wife has a job where she has a lanyard at work, it'll work. Trust me.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I got one with very nice soft leather, so I spoiled myself.
Well, yes, you can go and you can spoil yourself and get you the very expensive ones, or you can just get the cheap one that your wife has from her job. But Brian, I wanted to thank you for giving us all the information that you helped give everybody out there today. If you are out there and you're watching the replay, go check out Brian at Cheesehead Media. Give him a subscribe. For every subscriber he gets up until the end of the month, he's going to be donating to Reefs Across America. And I'm going to match his donation to Wreaths Across America with a donation to Mission 22. And if anybody is interested in Haley's coasters, I still have 4 of these floral coasters that she had wood burned that we tried to do in the silent auction and we didn't end up doing. But Brian over there at Cheesehead Media, he loves his. And they're $40 for the 4 set. If you just want one, they're $10 a piece. But so if you're interested, just go to PayPal and paypal.me/JJDrones and send the money and your address, and I will get those shipped out to you ASAP. Brian, any last words?
Well, you hit it with the Wreaths Across America. That's just me, and I'm doing that through the end of October.
Oh, the end of October.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. October 31st will be the last day. So
perfect.
Thank you,
All right.
and everyone who has subscribed. I just want to say thank you for that. It's been a blessing.
And Haley says, "I'm so glad you liked the wolf set, Brian. That was one of my favorites."
They are used every day. The problem, Haley, with having 4 coasters from you now is that I don't get up to throw cans and bottles away as much as I probably should.
She's made you lazy.
yeah, it pretty much has. So now, I got another coaster. I'll just add to it. So.
Well, thank you, Ted. Appreciate that. And everybody, thank you so much for coming in today. I know that it wasn't a fantastic topic, but it's information that I hope you found useful. And if you did, go ahead and feel free to give the video a like and maybe hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. I appreciate all of you for coming along for this ride with us, and we'll see you later on down the road. Bye, everybody.